I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
3, 2, 1. Nerds. Wir hier. I gotta do something other than German. Let's see. Nerds, we are here.
I can do that voice.
In the great state of North Carolina. And I tell you,
Yeehaw!
We're having a good time.
Good time.
Good old time. We've been talking, we've been hanging out.
I snorted some white powder off of Bessie the cow.
What was the white powder? What was it?
I think it was borax. Had a little bit left in the barn.
Well, doggies. Borax.
Didn't really do anything for me. I think I need to see a doctor.
I think we're coming from the wrong state. I just did well doggies, but that's Tennessee. That's like, you know, the mountain man Jed. Come listen to a story about a man named Jed. No. You ever watch that? Beverly Hillbillies?
They my cousins.
Your cousins? Well, dang. You got a cousin that's a neurosurgeon?
Neurosurgeon?
That's right. Was it Jethro? It was like when he graduated in 6th grade, he wanted to be a brain surgeon?
I wouldn't let him operate on my horny toad.
Dang, that's right. By the way, we can do these accents, and there should be no offense because we're from North Carolina. You know, I don't know if we're doing North Carolina properly, but, you know, it's a southern accent of some type. Ironically, though, we both were born in the city, so neither one of us have a country accent in the traditional sense. You know, although I didn't grow up here, Will did, but you still didn't get the accent for some reason.
Well, you can just have my wife on, and she don't have to fake it none.
Oh. Yeah. Ain't it interesting, though, when you grow up in city limits and you don't get it for some reason? But some people do, but a lot of people don't if they grow up in city. And you go just outside city limits, and you get much stronger, and the further outside of city limits you go. Now, I've heard the reason for that is because they had a lot of settlers who came down from Scotland and Ireland, and they tended to be poor. There was this one area in particular, of Scotland. I mean, I got some heritage too. I got like Haynes and Owens and the like from Scotland, Ireland, you know, etc. Owen is a very Scottish name from what I know. I got English, a lot of English in there too. Like got Edwards and stuff like that. You know, best, of course. Best is a very English word, very white, of course.
Very white.
Yeah, I even got some Norwegian in me somewhere, though I haven't found it on the family tree. But genetically, supposedly, I got some Norwegian. I've talked about that before.
Cold never bothered you anyway.
Cold never bothered me anyway. All right, I think that's enough. We should probably get her done and talk about this.
Yeah.
This topic that we chose for today. I'm kind of having fun though.
I know.
This
I'm
calls
having
back
fun
on
listening to you.
So we did.
I prefer this over your German accent.
Many years ago, we did a student film. Like for your time for SciTech, you had to do some visual effects for it, and I was a redneck, and you were an otaku.
Otaku.
So ironically, even though you grew up in North Carolina, you were not the one doing the southern accent. I was.
That's right. You didn't grow up in North Carolina.
I did not. Look, I lived here for 2 years. Not really long enough to pick up much of anything, you know, because I lived in the city during that time. Now, my dad apparently had some accent because he grew up in South Carolina, relatively small town South Carolina, but he lost that twang over the years. Some of that was like speech class and learned how to be a preacher and whatnot, you know, but he lost that accent.
By God.
Gradually over time. Glory. Glory. Get some of that, not Tennessee windsucker, but South Carolina windsucker. And I tell you, anyway, all right. Back to normal here. I was having too much fun with that. Yeah, and I feel like I can be freer with that because I'm like, who am I offending but my own people because I'm from North Carolina.
Exactly.
So Although I didn't, yeah, maybe something. I grew up, I was born here. I lived in South Carolina for a little while as well. And then when I was around 4 or 5, moved out to the Southwest. And most of my formative years were spent in the Southwest, which is why, me personally anyway, why I don't have. Also, my mom was from like Ohio, which like Ohioans, you know, you have a little bit of a twang, like a little bit of a whatnot and stuff like that, you know, like the further up in Ohio you go, the further up in Michigan you go, you start to get a little bit of that like Canadian twang, you know, a little bit of the Canadian twang, like, oh, I don't know, eh? Like, I see some moose the other day. You get a little bit of that the further up you go, the UP, but Toledo, you know, area where Mom grew up, like, not that much. You know, she just very straight, not a lot of twang in her, not really any twang in her accent. And my dad lost most of his over the years because he was like, you know, he's a professional speaker. Basically, he did that for a living, so he was like very deliberately trying to articulate in a more traditional English fashion, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he lost most of that twang.
Twang, that's a fun word. I'm pretty sure I drank twang in the 90s.
But no, apparently it comes from the fact that a lot of the rural areas were settled by people from some regions of Scotland and Ireland that had very strong rural accents as well. And those eventually evolved into what is now, you know, southeastern United States, or the southern accent in a traditional sense. At least that's what I've heard. And I don't know where Texas got its accent from. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe similar. I don't know. Don't know the Texas heritage so much. But yeah. Anyway, hey nerds.
Hey nerds. I hope you enjoyed that. I did.
Yeah, that was fun. A little journey down southern lanes. Country roads take me home. That's about West Virginia, though. Yeah, we don't talk about West Virginia.
Wink, wink.
Country roads take me home to my double wide trailer. No, sorry.
My wife's family resembles that remark.
Do they?
I don't know.
What's funny though,
I'm just kidding. They're from West Virginia though.
All the times I've driven through West Virginia, I've never seen a trailer. So I guess I just wasn't in the areas where that got that stereotype. But I would drive through there on my way to Ohio. Done that many times, and on the way back, obviously, through Charleston and all that. Never saw a trailer. Never saw a mobile home. I saw a lot more of those in Arizona growing up. They had like entire like mobile home like developments, like villages, like. These are like retirees from Minnesota would come down and live in a mobile home, and these were like nice too. They had like yards and everything, like, and there would be like 100 of them in this little development. And yeah, you had like retirees that would come down for 5-6 months out of the year, and then when it started getting too hot, they would go back up to Minnesota or Wisconsin or wherever. They called them snowbirds.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people that lived there year round. But yeah, those were like entire towns, but they were nice. They were actually nice.
Cool.
Compared to the few that I see here in Winston. When you see trailers around here, they never look good. And there's always like, it's like 6 or 7 of them. You know, they're running like small packs.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
I don't either. It's just like somebody bought a random plot of land and was like, I'm going to throw a few mobile homes on here and rent them out or something.
Well, I know my aunt, she had a nice mobile home, but then she had she filled it up with, she was a hoarder, so after she filled up one mobile home, she'd just buy another mobile home and then
fill it up
the new
too.
One.
Oh, I mean, if that's how you want to spend your life and your money, I guess.
Well, that's what my dad told me anyway. I don't really think I saw it. But anyway, so we're here to talk about Parasyte.
Yeah. By the way, we don't want to cast any aspersion on those who live in mobile homes. I'm not trying to say anything horrible about you. Maybe that is a little offensive. Because I know legit for various reasons. Sometimes can't afford to live in anything other than that, you know. And so yeah, I'm not trying to say anything bad about people that live in that. So yeah, no offense intended. But yeah, and I say that as someone who's always been lower middle class. Like I've never been a rich man myself. So like I live in a small apartment right now, so I can't say much, honestly. Anyway, Yeah. So Parasyte.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I just thought we should get to our topic.
Yes, we should. We should. People get bored and leave if we don't.
Please don't leave. Come back.
Come back to the podcast.
So, Parasyte with a Y. I saw that you posted a teaser on our Instagram.
I did. Yes, I did.
Parasyte with a Y. Don't search for the
if you try to find an anime Parasyte with an I, it's very different. Yeah. That's all I'll say. I mean, you could just for kicks and giggles or shits and giggles. I say that. But yeah, look it up with a Y.
My wife tried to find it, and she got a movie, a live-action movie.
Yeah, that's and that is spelled with an I, just like Parasyte. Yeah. The word is normally spelled, and that is not a horror movie. I don't think it is. I've only seen part of it. I never finished it. I think it's like suspense comedy, which is a very interesting, like, genre-bending combination. I think that's Korean. I think it's a Korean film.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Parasyte.
I'm
pretty sure. Pretty sure it's Korean.
I was just reading the Wikipedia. Actually, our Parasyte was developed into 2 live-action films in Japan.
Oh, okay.
In 2014 and 2015, which is interesting. I didn't know that.
I did not either. In fact, I'd never heard about this until Harry, one of our fans.
Hey, Harry.
Had met Will in person and had been talking to him about anime, kind of bending his ear about that. And this was his idea for a topic. I asked him if he knew a good horror anime, and he recommended Parasyte. And Will and I have both been watching it this past week, and we've both enjoyed it. Like, I like it. I like it. I think you said the same earlier when we were talking. You said you like it as well.
Yeah, I do. I really enjoy the camaraderie, the back and forth between our main protagonist and his hand.
Yeah, Migo. What's the
Migi or Migo?
Inishi? Shinichi and Migo. Yeah. Shinichi. And his hand, who's supposedly male, he uses male pronouns to refer to his hand, but it's voiced by a female. At least it sounds like it's voiced by a female.
I noticed that.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty frequent, I feel like, in Japanese anime, that male parts are voiced by women a lot of times. Like Dragon Ball, right? Isn't the main character
right?
The Goku?
Yeah,
is voiced by a woman.
An adult, it's still voiced by a woman.
It's a very interesting choice. Don't quite understand it, but
it made more sense when he was a kid, you know.
But yeah, when he got older, it's like, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know. Anyway.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's a topic we've already covered. I don't know if we talked about the actors necessarily, but we have covered Dragon Ball, which, by the way, go to our back catalog. Check it out. We did 2 episodes, both with our mutual friend, Zach Williams. Shout out to Zach. And the Struggle Bus coffee trailer, technically. Coffee truck. It's not a truck per se. Anyway, if you're in the Piedmont Triad region and you want some damn good coffee, go check out the Struggle Bus. 2 years in a row, they won Best Drink for the Carolina Classic Fair. So they're rocking it. So shout out to Zach and his Dragon Ball episodes.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed I can't remember the darn name of the drink, but I had it, the one that won this year. It was good.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't make it over there. I had too many other things going on, but and the thought of trying to take 4 kids to the fair, 4 little kids, it was like, no, too much. Ooh, too many people. Yeah, no thanks. But no, I was excited for them. They won 2 years in a row, so that's pretty cool. I think they even got to be on like the news with like Lainey Pope and all that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh wow, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I think Shane and Shane. I don't know if you know who that is.
Sounds familiar.
It's like a Christian music group. They've been around quite a while.
Cool.
But they were performing, I think, that Wednesday there, which I used to be into their music quite a bit. And but yeah, they were there, and so Zach has a picture with him and them and Laney Pope.
Cool.
So, local celebrities, or
cool.
well, I guess saying or like national Christian celebrities. But yeah, if you're not into Christian music, you probably have no idea who they are. But they're well known within the Christian worship music realm, I think.
I was there on the night that they had the shoot. My brain's not working tonight. It's not firing on all cylinders. Well, the night I was there, they had a very different musical taste at the pavilion, the clock tower.
Oh yeah, like hard rock or something.
No, it was dang nabbit.
Bluegrass?
No, mariachi band.
Oh, that is very different. Yes.
Yeah, I finally remember.
Very different than Christian worship band. Anyway, we keep getting off topic here. Parasyte. So, what the heck is this thing? Let's read a little bit about the manga, which kind of introduces. I'm assuming the anime follows it relatively closely, although I don't know that for sure. But let's see, Parasyte, and the literal translation from the Japanese is parasitic beasts, which definitely makes sense, is a Japanese science fiction horror manga series written and illustrated by Hitoshi Iwaki. It was published in Kodansha's Morning Open Zokan and Monthly Afternoon magazine from 1988 to 1995. The manga was published in North America first by Tokyo Pop, then Del Rey, and finally Kodansha USA. The series follows Shinichi Izumi, a high school senior who is the victim of a failed attempt by a parasite organism to take over his brain. Instead of burrowing into his brain, the parasite landed in his hand and matured partially up his arm. The manga has been adapted into 2 live-action films in Japan in 2014 and 2015. An anime television series adaptation produced by Madhouse titled Parasyte the Maxim, which is what we're reviewing.
Yes.
Aired in Japan between October 2014 and March 2015. The English language dub aired on Adult Swim's Toonami programming block in the United States between October 2015 and April 2016. By August 2022, the manga had over 25 million copies in circulation, making it one of the best-selling manga series of all time. In 1993, Parasyte received the 17th Kodansha Manga Award for the general category, as well as the 27th Seiyun Award for the best manga in 1996.
Nice.
All right. You want to read a little bit about the anime, sir?
Let's see. You mean under the plot or?
No, under media. So we have different types of media, like we just talked about. We have manga, we have tributes and spin-off, anime, live action films, but we are here today to talk about the anime.
There it is. An anime television series adaptation titled Parasyte the Maxim. Kazuju said, no, kakaroots. I just butchered all that. Aired in Japan on Nippon TV.
Stop trying, Will. You're going to hurt yourself.
One day I will conquer the Japanese language, but it won't be today. It aired in Japan on Nippon TV between October 9th, 2014 and March 26th, 2015. It was produced by Madhouse, Nippon Television, VAP, and Forecast Communications, and directed by Kenichi Shimizu.
I wonder if that's a coincidence. Kenichi? Wait, Shinichi. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, well...
They just sound similar.
Yeah, they do. With Shoji Yonimura handling series composition, Tadashi Hamamatsu designing the characters, and Ken Arai composing the music. The opening theme song is Let Me Hear, performed by Fear, the Loathing in Las Vegas.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I think is a copyright infringement because there's a movie made in the U.S. called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Huh.
So I'm pretty sure. I wonder if they ever got sued over that. It's a band name versus like if they had tried to name a movie that, I suppose. But yeah, that's definitely a movie title.
Well, it's a Japanese band, so maybe the copyright doesn't extend.
Which came first, I wonder.
Ha 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 ha. Problem.
Johnny Depp is in the movie, which I've never seen. I'm just aware of.
I'm assuming the movie came first.
Probably.
The ending theme is "It's the Right Time," performed by Daichi Miura at Anime Expo 2015. Sentai Filmworks announced that the anime would run on Adult Swim's Toonami programming block on October 4th, 2015. The series was simulcast by Crunchyroll outside of Asia and by Animax Asia in Southeast Asia and South Asia. Sentai Filmworks has licensed the anime for North America, South America, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand release. UK distributor Matsu Entertainment released the series in the UK and Ireland. In Australia and New Zealand, Hanabi acquired the series and released it within the region. The English dub provided by and distributed by Sentai Filmworks was released on DVD and Blu-ray in 2 parts in 2016, with Part 1, Episodes 1 through 12, on April 5th, and Part 2, Episodes 13 through 24 on July 5th. So it sounds like this series doesn't have that many episodes, only about 24.
Yeah, just 24 total.
I'm going to have to finish it then.
Yeah, I guess it's a little easier to binge. So Will, in our research, Will made it a little farther than I did. He made it to episode 9. I've only made it to episode 4. Yeah, because I have 4 kids now. Actually, that's mostly true. But anyway, so do you want to break it down episode by episode here? Just to kind of talk about, or just talk about more generally the themes and things. We probably should have talked about this before we recorded our episode.
Yeah.
Look at us being all prepared.
I can pull up an episode list, but
yeah, I've got it on IMDb here.
Oh, okay.
So we got the first episode, Stage 1, Henshin. Shinichi Izumi's life takes a turn when a creature called a Parasyte attempts to infiltrate his body in order to take control of it, but it ends up burrowing into his right hand and both are forced to cooperate. So I thought it was interesting that he was able to... The scene was pretty intense, like when it was trying to get into his brain, but he was able to block it by applying essentially a tourniquet. Like
yeah.
It was a rubber band or something like something that he was able to
headphones.
Headphone cord, okay. Like tied around his arm, and then I guess the blood vessel it was trying to travel through was blocked off, and it got stuck there. And I guess they mature very quickly because it migrated back to his hand and then started maturing there instead. But yeah, it's really interesting. Like I like the exploration. Like, and again, I've only been through 4 episodes thus far, but like I like this thing becomes self-aware as it begins to mature, but it doesn't know what it is or where it came from, which I'm assuming, and you may know more about this having gone to episode 9, but assuming as the series goes on, they start to reveal more about where these things came from. But as of episode 4, where I'm at, they haven't revealed any like origins. So the things become self-aware, but then they're not sure where they came from or exactly what they are. But Migi, which he gives it the name, or no, I guess it gives it, Shinichi wants to give it a name, and it offers Migi, because I think it just means like, what, worm hand or something? Worm, something like that. It's like, it calls itself Migi. So Shinichi and Migi form this very slowly begin to form this unlikely coalition.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, and you've been a little further, so does it get closer and start to form more and more of maybe a friendship or almost a partnership as they go on? Do they start to explore that more?
Today's episode of the Irreverent Nerd Podcast has been brought to you by Duff Beer. Don't just sit on your duff. Get in the bar and drink some beer. That means you too, Homer.
Yeah, it does.
It's more about necessity at the beginning, kind of like mutual survival kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And in one episode where Migi could have easily have left Shinichi to die and found a new host to survive, he instead saves Shinichi's life. Yeah, they do.
Oh, is that the one you're talking about? The one earlier on where it is given the opportunity to merge with another?
No,
oh, this is
but that happens
as
well.
Okay, yeah.
It's unknown whether or not Migi truly only wants its own survival, or if it's becoming attached sentimentally to Shinichi. But I would assume that it's on face value. It's am I using that term correctly? Anyway, I assume that the Migi character really is acting according to how it claims it's acting, which is its own self-survival.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have a lot of, especially in the first couple episodes, they have a lot of very interesting discussions about like the nature of humanity, like the nature of violence or of consuming other organisms in order to live. It's really interesting stuff.
What separates humans from the rest of the animal kingdom?
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, because obviously Shinichi, has an aversion to cannibalism, as most humans do. It's fair to say, with some exceptions, but most humans, we have an aversion, and that seems to be relatively consistent across other species as well, particularly other mammals. Like mammals, it's not true across the board, but in general, they seem not to eat each other as much, which, if you want to look at that from an evolutionary perspective, it wouldn't be very beneficial for you to eat your own kind per se, but it does happen. Certainly there's killing for sure, but not always eating of one's own species, if you will. That does lower, although you could argue the killing does as well. And in some sense, the eating is almost makes more sense than just killing, because it's like nourishment is had, anyway. But they get into some of that of like Migi raises the point that, hey, humans seem to eat all other kinds of organisms, like many different types of organisms, but it's like, but we, whatever Migi is, which Migi doesn't know, right? It's like we don't, once we inhabit a host, we only eat that species, like dogs eat dogs. Like when they inhabit a dog, they only eat other dogs. When they inhabit a human, they only eat other humans. It's like, but you humans eat almost everything. So Shinichi, he doesn't really have anything to say to that in response. Like, and they don't throw the word vegan out there.
No,
but like it's exploring some of the themes that some of the philosophically exploring some of the themes that it's like if you had an argument between a vegan and a carnivore, so to speak, between someone who eats meat. Duh, that's what a carnivore is.
I'm an omnivore myself.
Yeah, as are most. I guess technically, yes, most humans, even those that eat meat, are omnivores. Like we eat all kinds of stuff. But then you have some that very deliberately choose to eat only vegetables. Like you can go full vegan, where no animal products whatsoever, like no eggs, no cheese, none of that. Nothing that's an animal product or byproduct. Or vegetarian, where you eat primarily vegetables, but you do still maybe eat some eggs or some dairy to some extent, perhaps. So different levels, but it definitely gets into some of those at least in the first few episodes. I don't know if it continues to explore any of that, but it does explore it a good bit in the first couple episodes.
It explores what it means to be human. I believe compassion is, and sacrificing for other people. It's something that Migi can't understand because he's all about self-survival instead of survival of the others. Shinichi is a very compassionate character. He is willing to put his own life at risk in order to save the lives of those around him. I'm only on episode 9. It's gotten to the point where Migi has spread to other parts of his body, including his brain, and he's starting to lose a part of his humanity. He in one episode, the last episode I think I watched, he tries to save a puppy who's gotten hit by a car, but the puppy is unfortunately bleeding internally, and there's nothing he can do to save the puppy. So instead, he's with the puppy, comforting it during its last heartbeats, its last breaths. But because he's lost a part of his humanity, he throws the puppy in the trash can after it dies, much to his would-be girlfriend's chagrin. Yes. The Shinichi before this would have given the puppy a proper burial, so we explore his the beginning of his loss of humanity. Well, not a complete humanity, just certain portions of his compassion are starting to go away. He's starting to think more and more like Migi. So we get to explore those things. We still don't know, by episode 9, we still don't know what the parasites are. But some of the parasites are more intelligent than others. You watched up to episode 4, so do you want to talk about the teacher and her experimentation, or do you want to wait until later to talk about that? But that would be an example of intelligence. Whereas some of the parasites just want to keep killing.
Yeah, like, so you begin to see, I think beginning in episode 3, you have the introduction of Ryoko Tamiya, and initially she has a companion, which there was a weird part in episode 2 where a woman appears to be rescued by Ryoko's companion, and it's never really explained why he would rescue a human female. It's not explained why, but just randomly, there's these 4 guys who are, have cornered her, and the implication is very much, that they're going to rape her, and they're messing with her and joking with her, but it seems very clear what their intent is. And this, they almost kind of left this hanging out there. I don't know if do they address it again, because the character that saves the human female dies a couple episodes later, or maybe even the next episode. And so they don't really explore that. It's why did he just suddenly rescue this human female? Because he doesn't then try to eat her or anything. So it almost seems like an altruistic act to some extent. Initially it still seems incongruous to me, because initially he just beats the guys up, doesn't kill them, but then they come back and attack him, hit him with a pole, which doesn't really hurt him because he's, his head's been taken over by the parasite. So then he proceeds to slash all the other guys in half, basically with his flesh blades, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Now that's something interesting. The parasites have this ability, in a sense, to reconstitute the organism that they're inhabiting. It's matter. They can to an extent, shapeshift into these weird snake-like appendages that have blades at the end. It's very weird. and no real explanation is given for that, at least as of episode 4 anyway.
And later on, Migi actually is able to shapeshift into a gun, but...
Yeah, I did see that.
You did see that.
She
doesn't use the gun, though, so I was wondering where that was going, but...
Like, what would it fire, a flash bullet? Or something? Or maybe just look intimidating, like, it's like, oh, I have a gun. Oh,
yeah.
Watch out. I'll fire a wet flash at you.
Wet flash.
No, not wet flash. I guess it was fired fast enough it could still kill you. Like, or I'll fire bone fragments at you. Whatever.
I need those bone fragments.
I got to the point, like it was episode 4, where Migi is experimenting with separating himself from Shinichi for brief periods, and is able to do it at that point for 3 minutes at a time. It
seems like you got a little further than episode 4.
I might have started episode 5, but definitely not further than that.
Okay. So, to answer your question, I forgot about that scene where Mr. A rescues that woman.
Yeah, it's just really random, and it's not explained.
But he does say that he doesn't have enough room in his stomach for all of them. So it could be he was just going to eat that woman.
It's possible, but then why save her? It's a little, unless he just has a taste for women. It is weird. It seems incongruous with the behavior of that organism later. And maybe that's just a massive plot hole that they just leave, or maybe it's a hanging Chad in the in the plot of Parasyte.
Well,
that's a millennial reference, by the way. Any of you that came of age around the 2000 presidential election in the U.S. will know what that is.
I've heard the term
hanging Chad. It has to do with George W. Bush and Al Gore. And that's all I'll say for now.
Okay.
Well, in Florida, the state of Florida.
So,
because why not?
What was that woman's name that starts with an R? I think Mr. A's.
Ryoko Tamiya.
Yeah, Ryoko. So Ryoko and Mr. A come together romantically.
Yes, they have sex.
So, I didn't want to give away too much of the plot, unless you were ready for us to give away too much of the plot.
Well, no, I mean that's in episode 3. So she's pregnant, and that's where it's at. I think where episode 4 ends, the baby kicks or something,
right?
With Ryoko, but yeah, it's kind of like she basically frames it as an experiment. That part of their human bodies still functional, and the implication is the baby is supposedly fully human, just a normal human baby growing within this parasite infested host, which also kills the host's mother. Sadly,
yes.
Ryoko's mother, is killed by the parasite who's now inhabiting her daughter's body, and that is a theme that they pick up. Like the mothers pick up on the fact that something's wrong, something's different, and her mom is legit. Like, who are you? What have you done with my daughter? And Ryoko's like, how did she know? My appearance imitates Ryoko's exactly.
It just kills her instead of being like, let her call the police. They'll just think she's crazy. Yeah,
it's like, well, you make it. You are a threat to me.
But do you think Mr. A was going to try to have sex with that woman?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because I don't know. Maybe he's saving her for himself. Maybe, but it doesn't really. Yeah. It doesn't really say. It's just left hanging.
Cliffhanger.
I think it's a thread unless they tie it up later for some reason, it's a thread they failed to tie.
I highly doubt they're going to go back to that loose thread. I'm already so many episodes ahead. So, so this might come to a shock to you, but
go ahead and spoil it, because I'll that way anybody who's been through episode 9, you can you can chime in and listen and stuff. And I may eventually get there, but I might not. So in case I don't, I still want to know what happens.
So did you see the episode where Miggy practices running around like a little puppy?
Yeah, like it practices like Shinichi wakes up and his arm's missing.
Yeah,
and then Miggy's running around the room and he freaks out. Which, by the way, when his mom comes in, like for some reason Miggy keeps trying to pretend that he's masturbating. There's a lot of masturbation jokes in this series, at least through episode 4.
I can't urinate next to someone who's talking to
his wang.
His wang.
Well, yeah, with Miggy, he's just going, like Shinichi's going to the restroom. He's at the urinal stall, and Miggy's like, I'm going to make your member hard, or something like that. And he's like, the hell you're not, or the hell you are. And he's trying to get him to stop. And so he's talking, it looks like he's talking to his penis, to his stall mate or whatever. Yeah, and the guy's like, man, I just can't pee. How'd you put it? Like, it's like, I just can't pee next to somebody who is talking to his wang.
That's what he said.
Yep.
But,
which I get that. That would be a little, like, it's weird enough if, like, you know how it is. Like, you're at a urinal and the guy next to you. Have you ever had someone try to talk to you at a urinal? Like, I'm trying to remember if I've ever had that happen. I've had people having a phone conversation standing next to me at the urinal, and I'm like, why are you still talking to this person on the phone while you're peeing in a urinal? That's kind of gross. It's like.
Yeah. I've had people try talking to me at the urinal. I kind of like act inconspicuous or whatever. It's kind of like I just act like nothing's happening.
Well, I've heard from celebrities. I've heard quite a few celebrities talk about this. That is their least favorite place to get recognized, which totally makes sense. Like, it's like, so if you're Brad Pitt and you just want to pee in peace, and then some dude comes in and recognizes you, like, oh, can I get your autograph? How big is your penis?
I'm peeing.
Is it huge? I was like, oh, that'd be so awkward. Yeah, but it's a trade-off. If you're rich and famous,
well, if I ever get famous,
you don't get privacy.
If someone starts asking me about my diddly-doo at the urinal, we're going to call the police.
Hi diddly-doo, neighbor. Hi diddly-doo. Dope. No.
But,
Homer. I can't do a very good Flanders. Can you do a Flanders?
I'll practice later and let you know, because I'm not going to attempt it right now.
Homer's hard to do. Like, what's the name of the actor that does his? I cannot think of the actor's name right now. Most is
Dan
like
Castellaneta. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he does it. It's such a unique voice that he does, and I'm bold. It's. I guess he's always whining. Like some of it, like, oh, March. I can't quite do it, but most is like is a lot easier to do. Who is voiced by Hank Azaria. But yeah, it was very buff, by the way. Have you ever seen him in a live action show? Like,
no, I haven't.
Like, I've seen him in a couple of live action TV shows. And
I mean, if I did, I didn't recognize him.
He's like really ripped, which you wouldn't necessarily picture as you're watching Moses. Like, it's like, Homer, you want some beer, Homer? Hey, Bonnie, when are you gonna pay your bill, Bonnie? Anyway.
Where were we?
We got in The Simpsons once again, which we still need to do an episode. Simpsons episode.
We do.
Darn.
Maybe we can do one Simpsons episode in December. I don't know.
We got to figure that out.
But
which, by the way, guys, this is more of a news of the podcast kind of thing. So we are contemplating ending the Irreverent Nerds podcast. So this is a fairly large announcement, and for those of you that are still listening, we know that your listeners that care would actually give a crap because you're still here 43 minutes into this podcast.
Yeah, that's why we totally waited.
Exactly. No, I didn't even think about it until now. But we're talking about ending the podcast around 100 episodes. Like, I've already kind of decided to, which I haven't officially done it on, but to do away with the subscription service because that just didn't take off. It just wasn't popular. And honestly, we don't have the bandwidth. This is one of the things we're talking about. I know I don't, and I think you've got some artistic things that you want to work on. you're with your comic career and things. I don't think either one of us had the bandwidth to do 5 or 6 episodes a month.
I don't know whether it's my depression or sleep apnea. I'm just exhausted a lot. And
I know. I think it's called being old.
Yeah, being old. Yeah.
Not to say that we can't both do more to take better care of ourselves.
And I'm going to be fostering soon.
Oh, yes. So you're about to get busier.
Yeah, I'm about to get busier.
So we're contemplating ending the episode at 100, which if we were to reinstate all the bonus episodes as regular episodes would come right at the end of November, which I think we've already announced this, but that's going to be a Miyazaki month.
Right.
And, so we would end with, Miyazaki films. But I gotta make sure I calculated that correctly, because if Miyazaki month ends at 99, I feel like the Simpsons episode would be a perfect way to go out if we decide. Yeah. But this is not necessarily the end of podcasting for us. We're talking about other ways to continue on with podcasting, but just at a lower frequency. So kind of where we're at right now is like we'll either continue the Irreverent Nerds, but only do a monthly episode, like basically a movie of the month, and most likely kind of what we're tossing around is like we'll choose one theatrical release per month to cover. And part of the reason we wanted this too is like, in addition to, we want to focus a little more on quality rather than quantity, because we don't have the bandwidth or the hours to really put into a weekly episode and make it excellent. In order to have higher quality episodes, we have to lower the frequency of the episodes at this point. So we're talking about, that's another reason why we're talking about going monthly. So it'll either be the Irreverent Nerds that continues, but the frequency goes down, or we'll come out with a brand new podcast that will launch. But it'll be similar to the Irreverent Nerds in that we're still covering a movie together, and we're doing movie reviews. So it'll have some similarity to the Irreverent Nerds in that way, but it'll have a different title and a different logo and all that. None of that is set in stone at this point. We're talking through it. But what we're pretty decided on is that we're going to lower the frequency of episodes regardless. Because, we don't have the bandwidth to really do it justice on a weekly basis. And especially not when we were trying to do 5 or 6 episodes with the subscription service. So that was just an overreach, mostly on my part. Will kind of got stuck along for the ride. And we just
I'm here.
Haven't kept up with it. And it's one of those where we want to have higher quality episodes, but maybe we might end up putting the same amount of time into it as we're putting into the weekly, but each episode will be much higher quality. It will be the idea. And and if at some point that started making a lot of money, then we could probably actually afford to put more time into it, because it would be like a side business. Whereas right now it's more of a hobby than anything else. An enjoyable hobby.
Yeah.
Of course. But we also want to put out a good product. Like, we want to put out a good podcast. You don't want to just do this to have fun ourselves. Like, we want to also make it enjoyable for the audience, because otherwise, why are we putting out a podcast? Why don't we just hang out and talk? Why put out a podcast if we can't do it well? That's how I feel anyway. But anyway, so that's a side note, the kind of news of the podcast. So getting back to our main topic, Parasyte, which got maybe another 10 minutes or so in our episode here. So I think we were talking some about Ryoko Tamiya. So she's an interesting character, because she's one of the parasites. She's taken over the host brain, so she's fully taken over that host body. But she seems very, very much more self-aware, and seems to have more self-control as well, and has some other motivations or things that she wants to find out or discover. So she decides to continue her host's life, basically, at least initially, being a teacher and And then, was it Mr. A kind of messes that up a bit?
Yeah.
He decides to go on a rampage.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find Shinichi, I guess, and he and Shinichi eventually fight. And neither one of them get killed.
Do I just talk into the microphone here? Okay. Here goes. Nerds, I am here to tell you, if I never see another leech again, it'll be too soon. Damn, I hate leeches. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute to inform you. Oh, by the way, this is Raph. You know, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Raphael. That's me. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute to inform you that the irreverent nerds want to hear from you. There are a multitude of ways you can contact them. Number 1. Follow them on Instagram at irreverent_nerds. Number 2, like their fan page on Facebook, The Irreverent Nerds. Number 3, reply to episode questions and polls when you listen on Spotify. Number 4, leave them a voice message at theirreverentnerds.com. Number 5, follow them individually on Instagram at ourbest_WS and at cartoonistwill. And you get the picture, right? Reach out, connect, let them know what you think, even if you think they stink. They want to hear from you. Alright, can I go now? I have some pizza to eat and some heads to smash. Alright, later.
Nerds, we would love to find out who is on the other side of the microphone. There are multiple options by which you can connect with us. Our Instagram handle is at irreverent_nerds. We are on Facebook and YouTube as simply The Irreverent Nerds. Makes sense, right? And of course, we are on your podcast app. If you listen on Spotify, scroll down and you will see a question. What did you think of this episode? We welcome your feedback. We post episode-specific polls and questions from time to time on Spotify, so please feel free to jump in there and give us your 2 cents. All right, nerds, I've talked enough. Let's get back to this week's episode.
In the fight. But spoiler warning, of course, if that wasn't already obvious. Mr. A is then killed by Ryuko, who she begins to see him as a threat. And he's dying because, well, I guess he does effectively get, he's dying as a result of wounds suffered during the fight with Shinichi. Oh, yeah. But his last attempt at survival is like, I need to merge with Ryuko. And she, I guess, anticipated that and somehow set up explosives. I think it was just like gas tanks or oxygen tanks or something. But she set that up and then kills him with that. But yeah, this is a pretty intense sequence. He kills a few teachers. I don't remember if he killed any students along the way, but he definitely kills some teachers.
No, just teachers.
Yeah. Because they deserve it. No, just kidding. No, they don't. Sorry, I'm thinking of The Faculty, which is a 90s movie that I listened to a podcast review of recently. Which, by the way, if you like horror, like here's a shout out. I doubt that they're listening to this, but I recently started following them on Instagram. But a shout out to a podcast I recently discovered. No, a podcast. The Film Flamers. So it's a horror podcast. So they talk about horror and some horror adjacent films, and they just have a lot of fun, and it's very well done, well researched. These are guys that genuinely love movies, but horror movies in particular. And a lot of these are ones that I don't really have a desire to watch myself, but I enjoy hearing other people talk about the film. So like you get kind of a second degree scare, an indirect scare, but then you have fun listening. Anyway, plug for their podcast. All right, I'm gonna be quiet now. Will, how about you talk for a while? I feel like I talk too much sometimes.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. At least you got energy. You got pep.
I guess I've gotten a little better over the years at just filling time, but I feel like it gets boring sometimes.
So I've only
shooting
watched
the bull, as some might say. Anyway.
I've only watched up to episode 9. I'm gonna try to surprise you with what happens next.
Okay.
So Shinichi's parents want to go out to the country to have a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And Migi tells him that the parasites are congregating in the city, so it will be safe for them to be out in the country. But what they didn't know is that there's one parasite out in the country who then chops off his mom's head.
Oh, shit. I had a feeling one of them was going to die.
And then transplants its head onto the mom's body.
Oh, fun.
The mom tries to kill the dad, hospitalizing him. The mom comes home, murders Shinichi. And that was the end of that episode. That's the series.
That was the end of episode 9?
No. I think that was like episode 6 or something. I can't remember.
So then Migi brings him back to life in the next episode somehow?
Yeah, Migi... Shinichi's heart was destroyed, so Migi turns into a heart, shapeshifts into a heart, and goes inside of his body, leaving him armless. But during the... So Shinichi, he's just missing school on the floor for maybe a week or something until he wakes up again. But so Migi saves his life, takes care of him, goes around the house and feeds him food and stuff. Mostly sugar water, but Migi does save his life and then return to the arm, but because of this, Migi's cells accidentally get dispersed throughout Shinichi's body. So now he has
the bloodstream, or it's pumped. He pumps himself throughout the body somehow.
So he now has superhuman powers. He can run like an athlete. He can jump and clear huge concrete walls.
I must say this is one of the weirdest superhero origin stories I have seen. Unique, definitely unique.
Yeah, but the only problem is that some of Migi's cells have gotten to his brain apparently, because he's worried now that he's losing his humanity.
So that's cause for maybe more exploration of what does it mean to be human.
Yeah, and that's where I stopped watching. Yeah, they're exploring that. I don't know where it's going, but Shinichi is worried he's losing his humanity. Those around him have, like his dad, who's now an alcoholic, after watching his wife's head get chopped off.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah. I might become an alcoholic too if that happened to me. Damn, it's like he knows what he saw, but the police told him he's crazy. But the Shinichi is this close to telling his dad, but his dad doesn't want to hear it about what's really going on in the world. But trauma.
Yeah,
I mean, to say the least. I mean, for Shinichi too, but Shinichi didn't watch it happen, so.
Yeah. Well, Shinichi did get murdered by his mom, so.
Now, does he figure out before he gets murdered, or is it like a total surprise? Like she just randomly goes, poof?
No.
Does she talk to him first and be like, I murdered your mom, blah, even though I look like her?
Pretty much.
Okay. Like villain speech, sort of.
No, it was more. Not a full-fledged villain speech, no, but enough to know that it's not the mom. Anyway, not anymore.
Well, that's good. At least he realized it wasn't his mom before she killed him.
He was in complete denial. He didn't accept that it wasn't his mother until he woke up a week later on the floor. Finally healed up. But so that was messed up.
Man, I bet he has some guilt about some of the things he said to his mom, too. Like, I'm assuming they probably deal with that.
Yeah, he was apologizing to his mom's body when he got killed.
That sucks. Yeah, so if we hadn't mentioned it, by the way, this series definitely deals in body horror. It falls into the body horror category. Yeah, all kinds of weird, mutating, bloody, like weird body parts, like eyes popping up in a hand, like Pan's Labyrinth kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, which that's a good movie to cover, by the way. If,
yeah, I've never seen it.
If we were doing like
to see it.
Yeah. Oh shit. Well, we have all these ideas over the months. Like, we should cover that. We should cover that. But we're definitely gonna be more selective. But there's nothing that says we can't watch that as friends and just hang out.
That's true.
It's like, oh, we'd cover that on the podcast. But yeah, highly it's definitely recommended. Like, it's like the tonality. It's definitely more violent than, or at least more graphic in its violence than the two Hellboy films. But tonality and aesthetically, it reminds me of Hellboy 2.
Pan's Labyrinth.
They were made, I think, around not too far apart in years. Like,
really?
Yeah, by Guillermo del Toro, was the same writer director. Okay. He did the Hellboy 1 and 2, not the newer one, but he did the first two, and then he also did Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water more recently.
I thought Pan's Labyrinth was a lot older than that. What am I thinking of? What's that movie?
I mean, it's pretty old. It's like 2008, 2009-ish, 2010, somewhere in there. Well, it's pretty old.
What's that movie that was worked on by the Jim Henson Company?
Oh, you're thinking of Labyrinth.
Yes.
Straight up Labyrinth.
Yes, I'm thinking of Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's from 85. That had like David Bowie in it. And I like that movie. I like that old 80s Jim Henson stuff, like The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Which I only saw recently. Like, I didn't see it growing up. My parents wouldn't have let me watch that. Too much like occult magic or something.
They brought it back on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I saw that. It was all CGI though, probably, right? Or was it legit?
I haven't watched
puppets?
it, but I know that they made something new.
Yeah, no, I heard about that. Yeah, but I finally caught up with just something about 80s fantasy that I like, and maybe some of it is just the nostalgia. But I didn't really watch 80s fantasy in the 80s myself. Like not like the live action stuff. I think I was a little too young for it when it was actually coming out. I suppose I saw some of it over the years, but yeah, I had never, until I was an adult, I had never seen Legend, I'd never seen Labyrinth, I'd never seen Dark Crystal, stuff like that. And then I caught up with those, as well as Willow. I had not seen those until I was an adult, and caught up with those as an adult, and still really enjoy them. And but it still definitely felt some 80s nostalgia. You've seen The Never-Ending Story?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that.
I don't know if I ever saw the whole thing as a kid. It's one of those you're aware of it and you hear about it all the time. But I can't remember if I don't think I ever saw it, the whole thing, as a kid.
Was there
or at least not the unedited version anyway. But yeah, I finally caught up with that within the last couple of years too. And yeah, no, but I was just thinking of the two huge statues in the nude statues. Yeah, for a PG kids movie. Inappropriate? No. Never-ending story. Which, by the way, the Film Flamers cover that as well. What they call it, they had a name for it, but like introductory horror, like your introduction to horror, like you watch it as a kid and it kind of is like horror adjacent. It kind of primes you for horror movies, so to speak. Because yeah, there's definitely some creepy parts in that, and obviously in the other movies I just mentioned, like Legend and Dark Crystal and all that, some pretty creepy stuff, you know.
Did you know
but I like it.
There were the Never-Ending Story. There were 3 parts.
I've seen the first one. Have not seen the second or third one. Wasn't based on a book too, I think. Which, once again, we're getting off topic, but
right, yeah, we are.
Yeah, and it's about time to finish up. But yeah, we didn't get in super deep to Parasyte, but yeah, I enjoy this series, and I think I would recommend it for fans of horror as well as fans of anime. And it's not so, like, if you've seen mature anime, you know, the violence is not that ridiculous. It's not that, you know, but it's definitely, I think, where some of the gross outcomes is because it's like people's heads like coming apart.
Yeah,
and
some of
and,
that's
like
off
eyeballs and hands and
yeah.
stuff, and a mouth, like a mouth forms in the middle of a hand, with Miggy, and that's a little like, ugh, like gives you the willies.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, he meets another guy who the parasite went to the wrong body part, but it's his neck.
So like talks out of the neck. Like,
no,
hello.
Sometimes, but
or
it
just didn't make it all the way up.
It takes control of his mouth, so the guy is normally talking like this, but then suddenly his whole mouth just blows up like a balloon. The parasite's talking rah, 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 rah. They're just totally chill. It's this fat guy. They're just totally chill.
What's up, man?
Yeah, the parasite's just chill.
I'm a parasite, man. What's up? What's up? And then it was like, oh man, and I was like, no, and I was like, sorry, I'm channeling Ant-Man right now. You know the scenes from Ant-Man where his friend is like telling the stories. Is it?
Yeah.
It's like, and then I met my cousins, and
he's
so
boring when he talks.
Like, what? And you were like, yeah, and I was like, what? No,
talking human.
Yeah. Which apparently, was it Jay? I can't think of the actor's name right now that plays that character in Ant-Man, but he apparently based him on his cousin. Apparently his cousin talks like that in real life and tells stories, Oh, then the other day, man, I was like, no. It's like,
I was disappointed they didn't bring him back for Ant-Man 3.
Did they not? I thought, did he not make an appearance in there? I'm trying to remember. Quantum Mania?
Well,
I know he wasn't in there much, if he was at all.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe a little cameo. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, that was a sadly mediocre entry in that trilogy. I liked it more when I first saw it, but the more I've thought about it afterwards, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of
Well, it didn't really fit the previous two films.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously it deals with going in the quantum realm, which the first two films, the second one in particular, deal with a lot.
It was just completely different is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was very different, and they bring in Kang, which, by the way, I started watching Loki, and the first episode is really good.
Cool. I need to watch that.
Yeah.
You're talking about season 2?
Mm-hmm, season 2, yeah. The season 2 just started releasing on Disney+. And, and I think they had already filmed with Jonathan Majors before all that about his domestic violence came out.
Yeah.
So I think they had already finished filming. So they, although it's somewhat fitting that he's playing a villain, I suppose, would have been a little different, I think, if he'd been playing a hero and then that came out. But that being said, he's not going to be in any more. I think Disney has already made that clear. So they're going to have to, if they continue with his character beyond Loki season 2, they're going to have to recast, which with all the multiverse stuff, it wouldn't be that hard, honestly, to explain it.
Rhodes' face changed between Iron Man 1 and 2.
Oh, I know, yeah, and they obviously they don't say anything about it. It's kind of like from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight, you have, Rachel gets recast.
Yeah. Which I didn't notice.
Really?
You just said so.
Are you serious?
Yes.
What? These are two very different actresses. You never noticed that? I
probably thought they were different characters.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense because Maggie Gyllenhaal is definitely, she's very different. Just a very different person.
I didn't even know she was in Batman Begins.
Well, she's not, but Katie Holmes plays Rachel in the first film, and then for whatever reason she either wasn't able to, or they just for some reason chose to recast it, or she had a conflict. I don't know what, but they recast it in the second film, which I didn't necessarily like. I don't like Katie Holmes in a lot of things, but I did actually like her as Rachel. Somehow that seemed to fit in the first one, and I like Maggie Gyllenhaal, but yeah, her character didn't really work for me in The Dark Knight. And some of it was that they recast it, and that kind of took me out of it a bit. That was part of it. But honestly, I wasn't a big fan of the Harvey Dent character in The Dark Knight either.
Right.
I suppose it's fair to say that the most interesting thing, which is true for, I guess, many people that have seen it, about The Dark Knight is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
He kind of overpowers the whole thing, and just tour de force performance. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. But yeah. Anyway, I keep getting off topic. I'm going all over the place here. Speaking of that.
Hey, at least we're having fun, and hopefully that means the listeners having fun.
I hope so. I hope you guys have fun. Like, was it? I think didn't I raise like a podcast idea? I think I told you about it. It's like, it would be something where it's like we maybe have a starter topic, but then it could go literally anywhere from the starter topic, and there's no set plan. We call it "Where the fuck is this going?" And that's the name of the podcast. I feel like that might actually be successful too. It's like
hey, that fits us.
Just like ADHD it to the max. You know what I mean? Like,
oh,
shiny.
At the same time.
Maybe we should just do that. Like, no preparation necessary. Just like whatever comes to our minds, we talk about.
I propose
stream of consciousness kind of thing. See what happens.
I propose the title "Hey, Look a Squirrel," but that's probably already taken.
I like that. Maybe not for a podcast. I'm gonna look it up right now. Actually, like I did that for the Irreverent Nerds. I was like, I looked it up to see if anyone else had taken the name, and it was unique. No one else so far has not taken it and copied it either. But nerd or nerds is in so many different like podcasts or Instagram profiles. It's almost ubiquitous now. I'm like, if we do start a completely new podcast, I'm gonna definitely come up, hopefully with something even more original. Maybe not even have the word nerd in there. But see, what did you call that? Hey, look, it's a squirrel.
Hey, look, a squirrel.
Hey, look, a squirrel. A podcast by two men with ADD or ADHD.
Yeah.
ADDH. I have ADHD. HDAD. ADHD. Hey, look, a squirrel. So the first thing that came up was a playlist. ADHD, I'm on the highway to, hey, look, a squirrel. Another playlist. Highway to, hey, look, a squirrel. But that's playlists. So there is a podcast called The Lord of the Squirrels. Marvel's Squirrel Girl, The Unbeatable Rad, Squirrels and Robots. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Okay, this has nothing to do with squirrels.
The hot dog is an open.
For some reason, sandwich. This is what is coming up. There's another one called D's Big Nuts, and ADHD Grandma. So ADHD is coming up a lot. So obviously there's a connection there, but I'm not seeing a podcast called that. There's an episode called How Squirrels Track Their Nuts.
And their acorns too.
Squirrel nuts. Hey, well, it's not taken, so hey, I actually like that. I like that title. Hey, look, a squirrel. A podcast. A stream of consciousness podcast hosted by two men with ADHD.
So I assume that your title wasn't taken either.
Oh, which one? The where the fuck is this going?
Yeah.
Probably not, but I should look. This is bonus, by the way. You guys get this content for free. Not that the other content costs anything to you. Actually, it doesn't cost anything to us either, other than what I've put into the equipment. I imagine there's an episode called that, but let's see. There's a podcast. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is happening? Where's this going? And then it gets into stuff that doesn't seem to have anything to do with that title.
Is it not safe for work material, Richard?
Hortopia, for some reason, came up. What the fuck are we talking about? Did come up, so that's close. That's the closest.
Oh, well, that's really close.
What the fuck am I doing? Fuck your feelings. By the way, this is probably the most F words that we've had in an episode since Zach was here.
I think I would be desensitized at this point.
Ion, like the ions. Ion know shit about fuck. What?
But I did.
There's some weird podcasts out there. What the fat? Who the fuck am I? I resonate with that. WTF is on my mind by Mark Vicente. What the F history? Yeah, but there's not one of like where the fuck is this going? There is a what the fuck is happening, and where's this going? Those are close, but not the same. But I do like the hey look a squirrel.
Yeah, that was my attempt.
Don't steal that, by the way.
Yeah, don't steal that.
We're gonna do it first, maybe.
So that'd
that'd be a very low maintenance and fun podcast to do.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe more fun than this.
And that was my tip to give you a title that didn't have the F word in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you are going to alienate some audiences. You're not going to have as much general appeal necessarily if you have it right in the title. Like,
well, boy,
like where the you could just put like where the bleep is this going? No.
Co-host of where the is this going?
Yeah, where the fuzz is this going? Where the Filoni is this going? A Star Wars podcast. No.
Yeah, we don't talk about religion, but if y'all don't follow my Facebook, y'all probably don't know my religious leanings. So
we have talked about it a few times on this podcast.
Cool.
I mean, have we not?
So
like,
that might look really weird on my...
oh, yeah. Will, co-host of Where the Fuck Is This Going?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a little embarrassing.
My pastor talked with me when I started doing Super Mario again, and I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know what conversation we might have. Start working on where the F is this going.
That's interesting.
Well,
like, it's interesting that he would talk to you about that and not about this podcast.
He doesn't listen to our podcast.
That's probably a good thing. It's not meant for pastors. Not that pastors can't enjoy it. You're more than welcome to enjoy it if you're a pastor.
We have some complete episodes.
Yeah, we do actually. The only reason we have an explicit rating on Apple, but that's only because you have to choose the rating at the podcast level on Apple, whereas like with Spotify, it's by episode. So it's like when I go to post the episodes, I have to indicate whether it's explicit or not, and if it has at least one or two F words, I'll put that in there. Or for some reason we're dealing with like highly mature content, which doesn't happen very often.
We're dealing with highly immature content.
Exactly. That happens all the time. Every fucking episode. Yeah, I think this is getting pretty close to the officially the most F words in one episode.
Slap that warning
all
label
at the
on this
end,
episode.
Which there's probably not too many people that are still listening at this point anyway. So if you're here, hopefully you're having fun. Yeah, we're still recording. Yeah, which we need to go to bed. So I'm going to shut up. So anyway, nerds. Yeah, I hope we didn't make you blush too much there at the end. But if you want to blush even more, check out the Film Flamers podcast. They have no qualms about dropping the F word, although they're more strategic about it. But there's another nerd podcast that I've listened to recently, which I would also recommend. It's called The Wizard and the Bruiser, which they're similar to us in that they do like a variety of nerd topics and nerd films and nerdy TV shows, genre stuff. But they also have covered some video games, so, kind of some similarity there. But they've been doing it longer than we have, since 2016. The Film Flamers, I think, since 2018. So, yeah, check out both of those podcasts. Shout out to them. Don't know if they'll ever hear this, but, yeah, go check out our fellow nerdy podcasters. So, we're doing it a little longer and more successfully. They actually have, I think they both have, no, wait, I should say that. The Film Flamers, they have a lot of patrons. So they have patrons, but I don't know if they have advertising yet. But the Wizard and the Bruiser actually have advertisers and stuff that they have courted. Anyway, all right. I'm talking too much. Goodbye, nerds. Until next time.
Sayonara.
Live long and prosper. Gone! Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. if you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at The Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, The Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm, profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to. You can support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us. We would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.